Hi there. Welcome to Sowing Seeds of Success, a mindful educator's guide to growth. This presentation, I've linked a bit.ly there for you, as well as a QR code. I've also included a think sheet that you can use when you get to the station portion of the presentation. There's also going to be some times that I'm going to ask you to pause the presentation and go out and watch a video and then come back. So just know that you'll kind of be working in two different browsers there. My name is Tera Kennedy. I am one of the digital teaching and learning specialists in Duplin County Schools. This is my 19th year in education. And as you can see, my two little pride and joys right there, they are the reason I do what I am doing. I have always strived to not only be the best teacher, but to also be the best mother for them. And so I really hold it close to my heart in how can I reflect and push myself to not only practice and be the best version of myself, but also teach them and the students that I have worked with all of these years how to be the best version of themselves as well. And that's really where this whole presentation kind of came from. So just know that that's really kind of came from my heart there. NCBOLD, Cybersecurity and Data Privacy Statement. NCBOLD is designed to support educators in the use of digital tools and technology to enhance learning outcomes. NCBOLD strives to model best practices for educators, including data privacy and cybersecurity. Educators should follow their district's policy for digital app and platform approval prior to enrolling students in any digital tools. NCBOLD does not endorse any specific tools, vendors, or platforms. So on today's agenda, we're going to be looking at teacher efficacy. We're going to be looking at mindfulness and growth mindset. You're going to have some stations that you can explore, and then there's a conclusion activity as well. So at this portion in the presentation, if you will pause the presentation and go out and watch this video, it's every opportunity. And I just want you to really think through as you're watching the video. Have you ever seen or heard or possibly been someone that has been caught up in the moment and that this has possibly happened to, or you've been on the receiving end or been the person that has been doing it? So just really take some time to reflect as you're watching this. All right, so now, as you can see, I want you to think about the environment in your building. Does it look like the first half of that video you just watched? Or does it look like the second half of that video you just watched? Okay. Think about your classroom. Does it look like the first half or the second half? Okay. All right, so we're going to start with the power of teacher efficacy. So when a team of individuals shares the belief that through their unified efforts, they can overcome challenges and produce intended results, groups are more effective. And I've pulled some of the highlights from this article, but just know that's linked there if you want to read more. In schools, when educators believe in their combined ability to influence student outcomes, there are significantly higher levels of academic achievement. It's powerful. We all know that when you think about John Hattie's research, what he did was he did a study on effect size of anything that was over. He said anything that was over 0.70 or greater, it indicated it was highly effective. And so as you can see, this chart shows a few things that are over that 0.70. And I want you to notice collective teacher efficacy. It was ranked at 1.57 on Hattie's effect size on his chart. So not just a little, it was way over, indicating that it was highly effective. So to dig into teacher efficacy a little deeper, I want you to stop the presentation and I want you to go out and watch this video on collective teacher efficacy, the #1 impact on students. And I only want you to watch it from the beginning to about minute 3:34 and then come back and then we'll keep moving forward. So now that you've watched and kind of dug into what is teacher efficacy, how can you help? So what can you control? You can control yourself. So when we think about what is in control, and that is ourself, the first thing that comes to mind for me is mindfulness. And so in order to understand mindfulness, you got to know what it is. So mindfulness is a technique that you can learn that involves noticing what is happening in the present moment without judgment. You might take notice and be aware of your mind, body, or surroundings. So mindfulness aims to help you become more self-aware, feel calmer and less stressed, feel more comfortable to choose how to respond to your thoughts and feelings, cope with difficult or unhelpful thoughts, and be kinder towards yourself. So you can only be the best version of yourself if you are in tune to what's happening to yourself. And so this article, What is Mindful? That is mindfulness. It is linked there if you want to look at that. That is there for you as well. So how does mindfulness work? Mindfulness works by taking your focus to the present moment and away from other thoughts. The way we think and what we think about can affect how we feel and act. For example, if you think or worry a lot about upsetting past or future events, you might often feel sad or anxious. It is understandable to want to stop thinking about difficult things, but trying to get rid of upsetting thoughts can often make us think about them even more. So it's kind of like a spiral effect. Okay. So the theory behind mindfulness is that by using various techniques to bring your attention to the present, you can notice how thoughts come and go in your mind. You can notice what your body is telling you, and you can create a space between you and your thoughts. So for example, instead of being somebody that responds in a negative way because you're not in tune to how you are feeling, this is really drawing it into, okay, I'm going to be in check with how I'm feeling. How can I control myself, which will let me respond in a better way? So how does mindfulness impact your classroom? So this comes from Transforming Education. So mindfulness and academic achievement, it is shown that it is linked and it is improved cognitive performance and engagement. And it also can decrease stress and depression symptoms. So if you are in check and you are able to control how you feel, then that will help lead to academic achievement. So that means that as the teacher, if I am able to do this, then I'm able to model that for my students and I'm able to teach them the same techniques, which will then help them lead to being able to control their thoughts, their actions, and how they are feeling in certain stressful situations, which will also lead to them having a positive impact on academic achievement and their academic outcomes. Some things to consider in the classroom, okay? So although teachers don't have to have extensive training, it's really important for you to be able to have a few things that you can rely on to say, okay, I can feel myself getting worked up over this situation. How do I bring myself back in? What can I do? How do I model this for my students? And then how do I, put this into play and practice in my own classroom? So for example, increased in-teacher health, well-being, engagement, and satisfaction, enhanced teacher-student relationships, more positive classroom climate, potential reduction in difficult behaviors. So some simple strategies of things, how do I do this? Where do I start with this? So the best thing is for you to start with yourself. And how do you do that? You could simply make space for mindfulness moments throughout the day. You could schedule a few minutes of mindfulness into your day. It could be at the beginning. It could be if after lunch is a stressful time for you. Okay, how do you schedule that into your schedule for that day? How do you become? You find a quiet space to sit comfortably. You want your body relaxed. You could set a timer so you aren't distracted to look at a clock. You're going to focus on your breathing. You're going to really think through, how do you scan? Your feet are going to be flat on the floor. You're going to be thinking, okay, my feet, my body from head to toe, I'm starting to relax. When your thoughts bring you away, you bring it back. You start breathing through some of that. So some sample strategies of things you can do is it's not just for you. You can do it in class. So it could be in transition times of, okay, we can really tell like things are really hyped up right now. All right, let's practice this now. This can be done elementary, middle school, secondary school. I mean, it can be done any classroom setting when it's very chaotic. Okay, this could be, all right, we're aware of where we are. This is what we're going to do. We're going to be aware of your breathing. If you notice that you're starting to kind of, work yourself up, how do we talk through that? How do we address this as a class? What do we do to bring that back down so that it is a very calm and steady classroom? When you're thinking about your administration, so mindfulness is important from administration to teacher to classroom because it really is a ripple effect. And so how do educators foster collective efficacy? It is, so you start with your quick wins. Is everything going to be easy? No. Is everything going to be a win? No, but you can find a win. You might have to look for it, but you can find it. You build trust as a team as your grade level. So, like in your classroom, you build trust as a team between you and your students. As a grade level, you build trust between you and your coworkers. As a school, you build trust between the administration and the teachers. You set goals for each other. You work together. You celebrate when you meet those achievements. You share your knowledge. You communicate. You learn how to communicate effectively there. So once again, is every day in every situation going to be rainbows and butterflies? Absolutely not. And can you control everything that happens in your classroom? No. Can you control everything in your building? No, not at all. And that's not what this is about. This is how do you control yourself and how do you learn to respond in those situations when it does get really stressful? And I really feel like I could yell and go like over the top. How do I bring myself back in? Okay. So your mind is a garden. Your thoughts are the seeds. The harvest can either be flowers or weeds. So that's something to think about. What kind of garden do you want to grow? So these stations have been designed for you to explore on your own, and they're not based on you have to do station 1 and go to station 2, 3, 4. They are for you to explore based on what it is that you are interested in looking, and so they are linked. You have a creative station, you have a relaxing station, a digital station, and a reflection station. So for example, in the creative station, what would happen is in person, I would have a box set up and they would have materials where they could physically create a Venus flytrap or they could color. But this link shows you some reasons as to why, adult coloring or for students, why it really helps students to be able to express themselves. And it's so super calming. On this station, the box would have self-care where it would have breathing strategies. I've got yoga cards that talks about how you can do yoga in your classroom. There's just different ways for you to practice self-care, but I've also included a few resources for you to explore. This station, I've included something that you can watch, you can listen. So this is a story about how one big idea transformed a neighborhood. And so it's just really, what small action can you take to change the environment in your classroom, school, or district? This podcast is Can We Just Take a Breath? Proof that mindset really does matter. That is a fantastic podcast to listen to. And then this is a video about fixed mindset versus growth mindset. It is really, really good. And in this station, it is just a station for you to have a moment to reflect on, don't lose focus. So this is a choice board where you can create a vision board, or you could send yourself an email of words of encouragement for when the times do get hard, or you could set some goals up for how do you demonstrate mindfulness in your classroom, or you could create calendar reminders for each grading period. Once you've gone through and explored those stations, the last thing I want to leave you with is the power of positivity. Because I know, just like you know, that we would love to think that every single day in every classroom, that every single situation was just wonderful and warm and fuzzy, but it's just not always the case. And it can be really, really hard. And as educators, it's really, really difficult at times. But I want to challenge you to think about how can you really change your mindset and what can you control. These are some steps of some things that you can do to really change your mindset. And how can the power of positivity, and students pick up on this, how can the power of positivity really play an effect? And you start the ripple effect, change the environment in your classroom. That could possibly move over to your grade level if it's not already there. It can move over to your whole school if it's not already there. And it just really is a ripple effect. And so that power of positivity video, it's really good. And then at the very end, the survey will be linked in there. If you will, take a few minutes to give me some feedback on that. I really appreciate it. I've also included a toolbox with some additional resources for you to dig into. And so it's just got lots of things about, what is emotion? And it just has got some really good things for you to explore. So thank you for joining me today. If you ever have any questions or anything, just let me know, and have a wonderful day.